In this video, I'm going to show you how to get set up with iClicker. I'm going to have a follow-up video where I show you how to link the iClicker to Canvas, but I'm not going to do that in this video. So if that's what you're looking for, go see that second video. So to get set up with an iClicker, you can see I'm on the iClicker homepage now. The first thing you want to do is go to Downloads. You want to download the iClicker Cloud software. There's two options for these software. So there's the iClicker Cloud, which is this top one, and the iClicker Classic. The iClicker Cloud is what they're trying to push forward with. It's easier to use, gives you more flexibility. So you want to download the iClicker Cloud software. I've already downloaded the software. I'm going to drag that over. If you need to create an account, you can do that down below. I already have an account. I'm going to sign in, and it's going to open up this software. What I would want to do next, if I were creating a course, in the top left, let's go to New Course. One course that I'm teaching is Psych 101 Section 3. So I can add that. I could specify what time and date it meets if I wanted to. So let's say it meets Wednesday, Friday at 9. That'd be fine. We can create the course. I want to show some settings that you might want to use for your classes. Depending on how you use iClicker, you may not use all of these settings, but I want to show you nonetheless. You go to Edit. I want to highlight one piece, which is the iClicker base frequency. This is going to matter because if you're in a classroom using an iClicker and the instructor in the neighboring classroom is also using an iClicker, if everybody's set at code AA, this is not going to work. So we need different codes for different bases. Those codes are going to be recommended with signage on the wall. For my class, the code is BA. Whatever classroom you're in, it's going to save this for your class. It'll save it for Psych 101 Section 03 for me. If my Psych 101 Section 02 is in a different classroom with a different base, as long as I set that in the first week of classes, that won't be a problem. And it'll save that information. But you need to make sure that you check these bases and have the appropriate code and transmit that code information to the students as well. You all need to be on the same base frequency. Okay, that sounds complicated, but once you do it one or two times, it's not bad. I also want to highlight some options within polling real fast. There's an option to send a screenshot. The way iClickers work, it's going to take a screenshot of whatever's on the screen when you start a poll. You have options to send that screenshot to students right then during class, at the end of class, or to not send those at all. You also have options of if you want to send the results to students right after the polling ends. I prefer not to do that. Instead, I send it through Canvas. There's some scoring options. This only matters if you want to use the grading aspect of the iClicker. You don't have to do this. I like to do this because I'm going to do quizzes with the iClicker. So maybe I won't do any participation points, but I'll give points for correct answers on the quiz. And the toolbar, it's very basic. It either counts up or down. You can count up from 0 or give a time limit. Okay, so I want to save those options, and I want to show you how to conduct a poll and what that looks like for your class. So to start a poll, you just hit this green button here. I'm going to start a polling session. What it's going to do is open a little box that's just going to sit on whatever's on the screen. If you have a PowerPoint up, it's going to sit over that. If you have, I don't know, the internet up, it's going to sit over that. If you're using the dot cam, it's going to sit on top of whatever's on the screen. I'm going to start a poll. I would just click this button here. And let's pretend I like to use PowerPoint. So let's pretend that I'm using a PowerPoint in my class. And it's just going to sit on top of whatever's on the screen. Okay? So you can move this around wherever you want. I'll leave it right here for now. To start a poll, I'm going to hit this blue button right here. And you can see that it's counting up, and no one has responded yet. I do have a student remote, so they're going to respond with an A. And so you can see there's one response. I can stop that question. Let's pretend I have a second question. There's a follow-up. Maybe it's a second quiz question. So let's start another poll, and the student has responded B now. Okay. Again, to stop, we hit the stop button. If you go down here, you can hit the Results tab. And going back to the first question, you can see that the student answered A. Question 2, they answered B. If I wanted to grade this as a quiz on the fly, I can do this in class. Maybe we're going over those questions. I can say the first question was A. That's the correct answer. By just clicking on that, I'm starting to grade this quiz. It's very efficient here. On question 2, the answer was again A, so they're actually wrong in this case. And the benefit of iClicker here is that it's very flexible for whatever question you ask. You can then mark correct answers. You don't have to have these questions loaded ahead of time. You don't have to have the correct answer already set up ahead of time. You can grade it like this. You can also grade within the software. I'll show you how to do that in a second as well. So let's pretend class is over. Let's go back to our software. I'm going to close this down. It's going to prompt me with the question of, do I want to end class with an exit poll where I ask students to give feedback or to give any questions they have? It's a good opportunity if you want to do any kind of follow-up. I'm not going to in this case. I'm just going to hit end session. It's going to go back to my iClicker Cloud software. And if I go to session history, I can see that I've done a session. If I didn't grade it on the fly, I can grade it here. I can click here and say, oh, yeah, that's A. That's the correct answer. And that one was A. And I can give points, whatever grading scheme you want. And that's flexible. Closing that down. If I go to roster, I want to highlight what the default setup is, maybe on the first day of class when you're starting to get set up. If you go to roster, it's going to say that that student that responded is not registered. They're not linked to this class. And so I want to briefly show you from the student view what that looks like, how they add your class, so you have some notion of how their setup is going to work. So what I've done is I've signed in to Victor E. Bulldog's account. Okay, so Victor is in some other psych classes, and we're going to add this Psych 101-03 section. All we have to do is hit the plus sign at the top. Victor's a student at Wingate, and he's going to find his class by going, you can search any number of ways, Psych 03. And he's going to add this course. Okay, so going back to my iClicker Cloud software, if I hit this refresh button, you're going to see that it changed from not registered to Victor. Victor is now paired with the class. This is great because I can now go through the grade book and see when Victor was absent. If I want to do quizzes with the iClicker, I can get all of that information. You need to pair, or I should say, have the student pair their remote with their account and add your course. Otherwise, you're going to have this long list of random remote IDs that you're not going to have paired. If all you want to do is use the iClicker to engage your class, you don't have to do this, but you're missing out on some key aspects of the iClicker, namely the ability to do grading through quizzes on there, or to do attendance or participation, for instance. If I want to do more gradebook functions, I can click this Launch Gradebook. This is going to open a separate tab in the internet for the iClicker Gradebook. So you can see for Victor, we've only had one session. Victor got one question right out of 2. I set up each question where 1 point was a correct response. So he has 1 here. I can export this and add this to Canvas. In a follow-up video, again, I'm going to show you how to sync it with Canvas. That process is slightly more tedious, so I don't want to get into it here. Okay, so what we see here, if you had a full class, you would see the student names. Once again, they've paired their remote with their account and they've added your class. And you would see these session histories. So you could say, maybe you get an email, when was the student's last date of attendance. You can see all that information based on how they respond with their iClicker. So that's how to get set up with iClicker in brief. If you have any additional follow-up questions that I didn't cover in this video, feel free to email me at m.davis@wingate.edu. Thank you.